Good evening, folks. Thanks again for coming to our series. Excited to see a bunch of you back from previous workshops and what looks like a bunch of new faces, too. I'm just going to hand it over to Graham to introduce himself and get this rolling.
Thanks so much, Skylar. Hey, I'm Graham. I'm in Ottawa, and I've done a lot of video over the last year, as I suspect some of us may. But this is intended to cover a whole lot of different subjects and topics. In a few moments, Skylar is going to be asking what sort of things you want to get out of this seminar, this session, and then we're going to leave a lot of space at the end for questions and answers and whatnot, because the whole purpose of this is to make sure that I'm not just blabbing about what I want to tell you about. It's actually teaching what you want to learn. And doing the best I can. A really important thing is that I don't know all the answers. As much as Skylar and James were told that I did, or I do. If I don't know something, I'm very happy to say it, and maybe we can use this group as a sort of a think tank and see if we can bounce ideas off one another if it comes to that. Just a little quick introduction. Like I said, I'm Graham Lindsey. I'm based out of Ottawa, and I've been doing video for I guess I started doing video in 1994, but I started doing video streaming in 1998, which is a couple years ago. So I've been fairly busy during the pandemic, mostly doing videos, and it's been a big, really, it's felt like a little bit like the Wild West. Because we're really in on the frontier of something that's new to many people. It all started last, I guess, a year ago tomorrow, where we were told to stay home. And so what I did was I was involved in the Canadian Folk Music Awards. I did a pre-recorded half-hour edition instead of one spread out over an entire weekend, and that was about two weeks of production time last year. And then we just sort of kept rolling with new projects. I did a number of concerts with Home Roots, whether pre-recorded or live via Zoom, and just a whole lot of pre-recorded festivals. I did one live festival a few weeks ago, live virtually, and it's all just been a whole lot of fun. My rule is say you can do it, and then figure out a way to do it. So. And then and have good friends who you can ask if something happens that you are not really aware of what to do. Skylar, how's that poll coming along?
It's all set.
Fantastic. So basically, the first questions I just wanted to know what people are using in terms of the hardware and setup, and where people are streaming. So this is the where people are streaming question. So if you wouldn't mind just letting us know. Essentially where you want to use this video. And this covers both streamed, so content that you can stream out to YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or wherever. Or if it's a Zoom concert or if it's a Zoom event. And I'm saying concert and event, like everyone could be using this for music, but it's all completely transportable to other platforms, to other art forms. Great. So I'm seeing a lot of people on Zoom. I mean, I'm seeing everybody on Zoom, haha, but a lot of people on YouTube and Facebook as well. So like I said, there are two ways typically to do streaming. I haven't actually streamed to Instagram before. I have been part of a stream that went to Instagram, but my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially the Instagram, at one point at least, you could either stream to Instagram using a device, or you could stream anywhere else. Has anyone just maybe a show of hands on screen? Has anyone streamed to Instagram before? Cool. Okay. So my understanding is that it's either you stream to Instagram using your phone, or you can choose a different device to stream to other services. Basically, let's talk about YouTube and Facebook because they're really popular with the communities that I am involved with. So Facebook, let's take a step back. Okay, so when you're doing streaming, you can either stream directly to a window that says Facebook on it, and you basically select your camera and select your audio, and you can select when to, you'd enter a description and everything, and then you would say, start broadcasting now. And that's one way of presenting a presentation. You can also do this from a computer through YouTube. without any special hardware. It'll allow you to select your camera, select your microphone, much like we did here and have done in this Zoom call. So basically, you're selecting how the video gets into this website and how the audio gets into the website. So that's fairly uncontroversial. A different way to do it is actually using a piece of software. Has anyone here, actually, just quick show of hands, has anyone streamed any video? I know some of you have definitely streamed some video. Okay, so then just show of hands, how many people here have used OBS? Or have a passing familiarity? Okay, so OBS is I think it's online broadcast suite. It's a broadcasting thing. It's free. It's awesome. The learning curve is steep, but we can get through some of it today. So we can just show you. I'm just going to cut over to, I've got a laptop beside me. I'm just going to quickly cut over to that so you can see.
Graham, I'm not sure if you are talking currently, but we're not able to hear you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. And Skylar, that is our technical flaw. Perfect. So I'm going to turn off the audio from that. Okay, perfect. So this is I'm going to move the mouse around so you don't have to lean in too much and see it, but wherever the mouse is sort of spinning around, that's where I'm going to do my best to be talking. So scenes are the different things that you can create. So let's see here. You can create multiple scenes and treat them. I'm going to come back on camera here. Okay, you can create multiple scenes. You can treat those like cameras or different views where you can say, I want to see thing one, and thing one appears on the screen and starts at streaming live. You can set up live cameras. So you can set up a camera to point at yourself. You can set up audio to capture your own audio. So it's essentially a way that you can set up your own instead of going through Facebook or YouTube and selecting your camera and selecting your audio device, you can go in through OBS. The benefit to OBS is it has a setting, or its purpose really is to stream out to a source, whatever that source might be. So you can set, instead of YouTube or Facebook, instead of saying I want to use the camera and have it go through the website, OBS will actually say I can send whatever you're creating in this piece of software to a streaming address. When you're doing live streaming, actually, I'm just going to see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I'm gonna open Facebook over here on my other computer, and basically, just going to quickly go here. Hope nobody that I know has posted anything embarrassing lately, so it could be fun. All right, so we're going to go over here. Yeah, so basically, if you want to go to the to present a live video, you can click the live video button. It's slightly different if you're on a Facebook page, but this is the window that you get to. It's called the live producer, and generally, I want to make sure that I'm not getting too bogged down here. But generally speaking, you can either select use camera or use stream key. I've never used a paired encoder, so I'm not going to cover that here. It's not as common. So use camera, you can see me down here in the bottom. That allows me to select my FaceTime camera, my internal microphone, or if I have other things plugged in. For example, if I have the microphone that I've got on my other system, I could select it, and it would allow me to select the audio device. So you can select that, and then basically enter your title over here, and then you can click go live. However, when using software like OBS, you can just click onto use stream key here, and you can see that I'm going to click back and forth for a second here so you can see the different options. It says setup and it's got the camera. Stream key gives you two pieces of information that will occur with absolutely every single streaming setup. Actually, I can't say every single because I don't know how Instagram works. I think that might just be a more like the use camera function. But Facebook, everything we said except for Zoom and Instagram would be covered in that. So TikTok, Twitch, Vimeo, YouTube, and Facebook. So what you do is you would fill this information in to one section in OBS, this information into another. So I'm just going to quickly go over to OBS and just show you how simple this is. So you go over to the settings, into streaming, and then it's even got a number of different streaming services that you can select from. So you don't even need to fill in both pieces of information. So you could go to Facebook Live, for example, and then it's just going to ask for your stream key. So I'm flipping back here, copy the stream key, paste it in here, click OK, and I'm ready to go. I know I'm covering a lot of ground here. The whole purpose, I just want to show you that it's possible and less the step by step. But the whole idea now is I'm going to switch back to here. I've created 2 videos. One, I did a festival called the Winnipeg Cranky Festival. I guess it was last weekend, and so I've got a countdown, and I've got a video. So it's, in this case, we're going with a pre-produced, non-live version of a festival. If we were to switch over, if we were to click on a different source, I could actually set up a video of myself. So I could even say, just, because I know there are a lot of musicians here. I could say, hi, I'm Graham, and welcome to my show live. I could press select another what's called a scene here and say, and have it show the scene that is the intro to my concert, and then I could go back to my camera and then present for a little while, and then I could go through and select a different scene, a third scene, and have that be, perhaps it's a pre-recorded thing from a friend's band. And then I could go back and forth. And you can do this sort of back and forth through the course of whatever length broadcast you want to do. I'm going to go back to here for a second here, and so go to the countdown. So this is just a very simple countdown that I created, and in this case, everything that you're seeing here is currently being streamed out live, and you can see that the counter's counting down. And then once I'm ready, this does not have a manual advance, I can click over here. I'm just going to click on main show. And then all of a sudden, the video content is playing. So really importantly, OBS is a piece of software that will allow you to send video that's either pre-recorded or that you're performing live out to any streaming service that will accept basically video online. It's the acronym is RTMP. So it's a type of server. Great question. Can you go live from 2 locations? The answer is sort of. You can do window capture and stuff. If I were, and now you're not talking at the exact same time with 2 people performing. Okay. What I would do to go live from 2 different locations is typically I would has anyone here, just maybe show of hands, used StreamYard before? Yeah. Okay. So StreamYard is another service. It's like it's like Zoom in some ways. You can show and hide different accounts, different people playing at the same time, or I would say maybe not playing at the same time, because actually, I'm just going to take a pause just for a second here. How many people here have know exactly why people can't play in 2 different? Yeah. So how many people are not aware of latency in video? Okay. So everyone's comfortable. I don't need to do a demonstration. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So basically, because of that, we can't play together. So I would use probably StreamYard for as the most slick way of displaying people together, because it does really nice animations and it moves things in and out. I'll see about this here. Just trying to think of the best way to do this. Without anybody to connect on StreamYard, it's going to be a very boring demonstration. So perhaps I won't go down that road. So StreamYard basically has a little selector below the window where you can say, I want to show this person and I want to show this person. It's got a few different layouts as well, which is really, really useful. And it also allows you to go to multiple platforms. So if you wanted to go to Facebook and YouTube, it definitely works. And Helen made the suggestion that we could connect together. I'm just going to quickly send Helen a link. If you want to just give me a second here. this is interesting. Last time I was able to just log in, now they require a code.
Where did you send it?
I have not yet sent you a link.
And yes, they do that from time to time.
Okay, Helen, I'm going to send it to you as Facebook, okay? Facebook Messenger?
Why don't you just put it on here in the chat?
Sure. So if a few people want to join, you're more than welcome. You can click through to StreamYard. This will be fun. All right, so I see Glenn and Helen are already here. I'm going to share my screen now, just so we can all see what I'm seeing. Beth and Sherry as well. Excellent. Okay, so can everyone see the screen over here? Yes. Okay, great. So this is the interface for StreamYard. It is very simple to use. So I'll bring my video on screen here. But then if I want to bring in Glenn, for example, we can have Glenn split screen. And then if I want to add Helen as well, we can have Helen on there as well. And then if you want to switch over to another layout, for example, so that we're not, this works really well if you've got one person in the shot, but it really works terribly if you've got two people in the shot. Then you can switch to this layout by clicking here, and this is more of your Zoom friendly layout. And then if I'm the main the main presenter, we can go here, and let's say we add Beth as well. This is, as you can see, this is a very, very, very simple way of doing things. As a producer, I did a folk festival, like I was saying, about a month ago. I can actually change different people's settings. So, for example, I can go to Glenn, and I can. Oh, interesting! I can't edit Glenn's mic settings, but I can edit Helen's. So, for example, echo cancellation. If you're familiar with Zoom and the musician's performing settings, if you turn on echo cancellation, the sound in here, it's like turn off original sound, which we'll cover in a moment. In Zoom, echo cancellation here, if you have it off, it means you can play music and it'll sound great. If you have echo cancellation turned on, you're going to sound really bad. If you have echo cancellation, for example, and people are performing music. It can be really bad. The way to solve that, if you're going to take your headphones off, is to not have anyone else on screen. So, for example, I'll just remove Helen. You're going full screen. Congratulations. So basically, if Helen's full screen, you can't hear me, or you wouldn't be able to hear me through there. You're probably Helen. You may have been hearing me twice actually before.
I was.
Yeah, and now I'm hearing you twice as well. So, I'm just gonna go back on screen here. Helen, Glenn, you can disconnect. I'll just say it's possible to select in. I'm gonna turn that off because it's weird that I'm speaking to not you guys. There we go. I realize we're going at warp 10 through, and I think that's impossible, but through StreamYard. But the whole idea that I wanted to convey is that it's the low tier level versions of StreamYard actually cost nothing. You can stream to, I can't remember exactly what the limitations are, but you can pay, I think it's $20 a month or $60 a month for the different tiers. The $60 a month one is for high definition. And as soon as you start paying something for it, that's when you start to be able to remove their branding, and you can really start to make a production entirely your own.
Graham, I have a question. I'm wondering, I know you and I both early on in the pandemic, Zoom was our go-to for like community music events, one performer at a time, kind of open mic style. Something I wanted to do a while back was kind of create like a lower third during one of these live streams. And I thought, okay, I can pipe Zoom into OBS and OBS to Facebook Live. Anyways, it turns out you needed some like virtual cable, and I just couldn't make it work. Have you come up, is there either an existing platform or way you found to make like lower thirds, just to put like a text overlay, who's performing now, anything like that?
Absolutely, yes. So the good news is that I'm just opening OBS here on my newer computer. The one that I can just sort of switch screens with is actually an older computer, so it can't run the newest version of OBS. They're now, as of version 26.1 of OBS, so one that was released, I think, last December, it has officially support for a virtual camera. I'm just going to pause something here. Sorry, guys, I just have opened something and I have lots and lots of audio coming through here. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to share the screen quickly here. So this will look like a different setup for OBS. So over here, you can see, maybe you can't see it, it's fairly small, but in the lower corner here, I'm just going to use the annotation for here. Here, you've got start virtual camera. Wow, this is terrible. I apparently failed kindergarten. It's a start virtual camera. The virtual camera is a setting in OBS, or actually in sort of computing in general, where it's a software camera. Other pieces of software will see it as a camera. So you can actually put in OBS your titles on and everything. Then you'd be able to use in Zoom your virtual camera. So I could use the same video output here, set it up in Zoom as a camera, and then I could put a title over myself and use that through Zoom. That would be possible. Yes.
So I guess it's 6 of 1, but are you doing the lower third is coming from OBS into the Zoom? Is the Zoom video going into OBS, or is the OBS going into Zoom?
So what I would say is, so if you've got a camera that can connect into Zoom, then you're specifying which camera you want to use. So you'd be, instead of putting it into Zoom, you'd be going into OBS, starting your virtual camera, and then in Zoom, you'll actually be able to select OBS as your camera.
I gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I want to make sure that we're sort of staying like not going on a tangent and then going on a tangent from that. In terms of what other people, Skylar, maybe I'm going to talk about Zoom for just a second, because this is another of the very popular platforms mentioned. Would you mind posting the other poll as well, just in terms of what devices people are using?
Yeah, they answered both at the start.
Oh, cool.
When we put up the poll, but I can release the results if you'd like.
Sure. I'm gonna talk. I'll talk. Oh yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'll go to Zoom next, and then perhaps after that we'll go into the results of the hardware, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Sounds
great. So I've been doing a lot of concerts via Zoom, and it's as Glenn mentioned, we started really early on last year. Glenn was in it in advance of me, but very early April, late March, we were working in Zoom. They've come a long way in terms of the settings that exist for Zoom. If you haven't upgraded the Zoom software, it actually only takes less than a minute. I was doing a sound check today. I don't suggest it right now because it will kick you out of the meeting and you'll have to come back in. But the different settings have changed over the year, the 1 year that we've been out, and things have changed remarkably. At the beginning, it was possible to use to turn just show of hands here. Who knows the phrase "turn on original sound"? Okay, so for anyone who doesn't happen to. Original sound turns off all the compression limiting, or maybe not all, but a lot of the compression limiting. And I'm just going to give you an example right now. I have a fan that's on, and I was telling Skylar earlier, I have a fan on underneath my desk because my office is in a basement and I'm very cold right now. But I also have a computer fan and I have other things, and I probably sound pretty okay in terms of background noise. I'm just going to be, I'll be quiet for just a moment and you can have a listen. I'm not sure if you heard, but I turned on the original sound when I did that. You probably can hear all sorts of fans and all that. So really, and you should be able to hear more lows and more highs in my voice. So there's more dynamic range. I'm going to turn it off right now as I'm talking, and you can hear that it's turned into, oh, Graham's on a Zoom meeting again. And so the actually, I'll just quickly, this is out of tune and I apologize, but just to give you an example. Wow, so sorry. and then original sound on. So you can probably hear that, and I apologize that this has not been tuned in at least weeks. But you can hear the decay, the decay of the sound. I'm going to turn off the original sound. You can hear that that when the original sound is not enabled, so Zoom's doing all the processing for it, the sound decays really quickly because it's Zoom saying, you're in a room. You probably have too many, hard surfaces. We'll just kill all that sound for you so you can be heard, which is great, except if you're playing music and you want that reverb to be heard. There was one concert that musician Scott Cook was playing remotely with a bassist in New Zealand, and it was an upright full double bass, and all you would hear is doom, doom. And I said, so have you turned off can you turn on your original sound? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Click, and then doom, like proper full bass sound. And it was stunning how much of a difference it makes. So there's that. So I guess generally speaking, downloading the latest version of Zoom tends to help because the settings that they have changed, they're really, really important. They've also unburied things like the show in meeting option for original sound that used to be under the advanced tab. Now they realized clearly that everyone was finding it, everyone was looking for it, so they put it right on the main page. And then another important thing is to uncheck automatically adjust microphone volume. So that's so that things aren't going, so that Zoom's not trying to compensate for when I'm playing very quietly or I'm speaking slowly and softly. And then when I go, when I really want, if you're used to performing in front of a microphone, you can actually have Zoom fighting you, which is not a fun thing to have to listen to. So you may not have to listen to it, but your people will. Yeah. So Zoom, we've covered how things can stream out to Facebook and YouTube. Zoom actually is able to do that as well. It's not actually enabled on this Zoom call right now, but on some other Zoom calls, there's a little more button at the bottom, and then you can click the more button and it'll allow, actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'll just encourage you to explore this later on perhaps, but it'll allow you to stream out via YouTube, Facebook, YouTube for Workplaces or something like that, Facebook for Workplaces, or one of the two anyway, or if you enable this specifically in the Zoom settings, you can output, you can stream to a custom streaming service, which is excellent because that means you can stream to anything that we had discussed that OBS could stream to. So that is potentially very helpful. You could stream out a Zoom meeting, and if you've paid, I guess, more money for Zoom, they'll remove the Zoom logo from the lower right corner. But if you haven't, which I haven't, it remains there for when it goes out live. And I've done a lot of I play Celtic music, so I've done a lot of jam sessions where everyone other than the player mutes, and then the player plays, and then everyone else is sort of playing along on mute. But every single time there's a really big Zoom logo in the lower right hand corner. So that just happens. And again, if you pay more, that will go away. I'm not here to sell Zoom though. Does anyone have questions about streaming via Zoom? Actually, I'll perhaps before questions, I'll just say the benefit to going to Facebook and to YouTube and to Twitch, TikTok, wherever else you can stream. The true benefit is getting your video out to a lot of people and allowing people potentially to look back at that video later on. The benefit to using Zoom is really allowing people to be face-to-face, interact, use the chat, use the polls, use the various different features. Because if we all just stream, it's like we're sitting back watching TV. And I actually sit forward a little bit when I'm in Zoom because I feel like I'm actually engaging with people, and to me that's a huge benefit. I know I don't want to just say Home Roots all the time, but with Home Roots, one thing we had done last year was started doing Zoom concerts, and they were great. because you could have, we actually had, we had one concert where we had 5 different performers in 5 different locations. And it was a fantastic night because we would go from the East Coast to another place, to another place, to another place, and you know, and end up in Winnipeg. And it allowed that live feel that you really, I mean, you can get the live feel with a live streamed video to Facebook or YouTube, but there's a chance that it's not actually live. You know, if you pre-record, are they live? The audio sounds a little too good. You know, maybe you're just a really good audio producer, but yeah, there's a question about that. And I just really like the whole idea of performing to other people, because even if I can't hear you clap, seeing what you know, if I'm seeing you applaud, or if I'm seeing the American Sign Language sign for applause, which is this, I know people are actually out there, and that's one way to gain interaction with the people who are watching. The downside, I guess, is if you have 3 people watching you, you know, you've only got 3 people watching you, but on Facebook, you know, you don't know how many people are or are not watching you. So for anyone who has questions about Zoom, I'm very comfortable. Are we okay? Originally, I was told that maybe sort of a 45-minute presentation and then questions. Are you okay going back and forth with questions? So it's not just a presentation. Yeah, because I think this will get to the root of what you guys want to learn. So, does anyone have questions? Because we're on Zoom right now about Zoom. I'll go with Helen again.
Yeah, I just want to, the OBS from 2 locations, is that possible or not? Or shall I just stick with StreamYard?
So that's a great question. I would go with StreamYard because, so I guess technically, how interactive do you want it to be?
Well, what we tend to do is we either do a song swap or we share a video, but we want the chat in between. We found Zoom cuts out when one person speaks and the other. Paul and I always talk over each other. So yes. Zoom was a bit of a nightmare. So StreamYard's really good, but I've heard good things about OBS. But if you think StreamYard's just, you know, the most convenient for us, then
definitely. So the reason I was asking about how much you want to switch back and forth, I did a stream to Vimeo. I was testing with a friend from the States, and he was doing a concert where we were using one Vimeo link, and I could start a stream to his streaming to that common stream key, and that was great, except when I stopped and he started. Well, no, I stopped and he started, and it continued the video, but there was a gap. There was a no data is being received. So yeah, really, I mean, unless anyone else, I'll just say I'm not aware of that. Is anyone aware of how to stream? Basically, you need a software service, and StreamYard would probably be that.
Okay, in that case, I have to go and do other things, and it's really good. That's all I need.
Thanks so much,
to
Helen.
know.
All right, bye for now. So, does anyone else have Zoom questions? Whether it's the technology, the quality, the practicalities, the how to engage your audiences. All right, then I'd like to know what else people would like to know in terms of how you're using the technology and how stumbling blocks perhaps that you're running into.
Graham, I'm interested in particular in kind of a hybrid model where we're switching back and forth between pre-recorded video and live video.
Sure.
And is Zoom the best option, do you think? Or would we be better off going with OBS or?
That's a great question. So I would say I would use the platform based on your audience. So if you want to interact with your audience, I would use Zoom. If you want to push a show out and have it go somewhere else, but you don't need that audience interaction, you could also use OBS. When I was showing you the different scenes, which is in OBS is in the lower left corner, you can basically select. I was describing, you could select the camera that sort of pointed at you. And then like you could set up the camera. Actually, why don't I just do that really, or as quickly as I can here? think actually I'll cut over to the screen here so that you can actually see how the setup actually works. Just because that'll be easier, or not necessarily easier, but definitely more helpful. So I'm going to create a new scene here. I'm going to call this Graham camera, live camera. I always like to put the things that are of consequence in capital letters. So live camera, that is definitely important to know, because if I'm going live, I don't want to hit the wrong button, I guess is what I'm saying. So I add a video capture device, and I'm going to call that laptop camera. I think I misspelled that, so FaceTime HD. Oops. There we go. So then you click, well, the preset here allows you to go up to the maximum resolution of your camera. For this one, because it's a Mac camera, the maximum resolution is 1280 by 720. So you'll see in a second here, once I click OK, I'm not actually filling the full screen. So there's a little handle in the lower right. So you just drag that down to fill the full screen. And this will be, I guess why am I talking over there? This will be a full screen video for you. But there's no audio. So what you'll do is you'll create an audio input capture. So laptop audio. And then basically you'll select the built-in microphone because that's what we're using. If I had something better, I would obviously use something better. So so you can see the little VU meters here for the volume. Check 1 2. Check check. So you can see that you're coming through. This is one of my favorite features of OBS, because you can see, is my audio really, really low? Is my audio high? And you can find ways to work around that. So Beth, you're saying how can you go from one to the other? Basically, live camera, and then I'm going to click over down here where I go to that countdown that I played before, and there you go. And so you'll see that my audio has actually stopped down here. And then when I go back to the live camera, check 1 2, my audio comes back. So you see laptop audio there, and then go down to countdown, and then eventually, once the transition is finished, it removes the audio from the source that used to play. So then I go to live camera, and then let's say we want to go to the main show, which is right here, and then this is the one that slid on before, and this really is the best way, I think, to do this. If you're not using Zoom. So in Zoom, what you can do is you can actually involve more interaction. There are 2 ways to share video in Zoom. One is free, built in, and that's the share screen option, where you can share video. I did a thing with a person on the East Coast, and we were trying to see the best and most high quality way to share his new music video in Zoom. So actually, I'm going to see if I can. Yeah. So basically, at the bottom of the screen, you can click share screen. Please don't do it for right now, though. I mean, you could click that, but don't actually share your screen. There is a checkbox at the bottom that says share sound. So that'll actually share the computer's sound, which is useful. And then there's a checkbox that says optimize for video clip, which is lovely, but it doesn't always mean that it's actually going to be perfect. Or sometimes not even good at all. I see a lot of shaking and nodding and shaking of heads. So I think people might have tried this before. Yeah, with the friend of mine from the East Coast, the video playing back was glitchy. It wasn't great. It's almost like, and I think what Zoom is trying to do is say, I'm capturing this frame. I'm capturing this frame. I'm capturing this frame, and it just gets so bogged down by the words "I'm capturing this frame" that gets not, it gets to be not ideal. What I have here, trying to think where my other one is. I have a video switcher that's Glenn's showing a couple of video input devices that are HDMI to USB. So basically, you can plug in a USB camera and have that be a source. And Glenn, are those 2 that you can use as different sources in OBS?
Yeah, I use them. I was using it for pre-recorded playback on Zoom with another computer, playing the video, and then HDMI in. And you can basically use your video camera, like where you have your start and stop video. There you can select that capture card as if it was a camera, and so then I can play my other computer. It thinks my other computer is a camera input, basically. So
exactly.
They're quite cheap. They have them for like $20 on Amazon. Now, I also have an expensive one, but I did a test. There's no noticeable difference in quality.
Yeah, it's those sorts of devices are great. I do have my setup here is that I have a laptop here, and the HDMI out of the laptop goes into my switcher, and I have it's a hardware switcher, so it's got 4 camera input, and I can select audio and stuff. And the inexpensive version is, I think, $420, which is pretty great. And you basically take the USB output from that, feed it into your computer, and your computer just sees it as a webcam. So anything that I do here, for example, if I want to do a goofy effect that takes me, so I'm gonna on this screen, I'm gonna start playing that same video. I'm just gonna jump partway in so we see something other than that intro. So I'm gonna do a goofy digital video effect. So I'm doing this all through a switcher, and I'll just go back. So I'm doing this all through a video switcher. It plugs into my computer. The computer sees it as just a regular old webcam. And I'm just going to quickly, so I'm just going to say, I'm going to type in the chat here, ATEM Mini by Blackmagic. So that's the ATEM Mini is the model of the hardware. Blackmagic, actually it's Blackmagic Design, is the manufacturer. They're really inexpensive. I've got the upgraded version that can record, but if you're just looking to mix in different effects, I mean, for example, let's go back here, and then I can also do things like this. Apparently I can't do things like that. I was trying to go with a picture-in-picture effect, which apparently is disabled right now. But I could have the video playing over top of my face. Basically, we could have the video up here, or vice versa, depending on your camera setup. So you can do various things. It's very useful, and I've actually set up a small number of churches because they needed to go online, and friends said, "Hey, could you help my church?" And yep, absolutely. So one situation, we've got 2 cameras, 1 laptop, and then we can use the laptop input as a graphics over-the-shoulder graphics display, which is super useful. And yeah, there are lots of ways to sort of sneak around what you can and cannot do, so that to try to figure out the best ways to actually accomplish the best result. I'm just going to keep asking questions. Asking 4 questions, I should say.
Can you, like the stuff that you were just trying to do with Blackmagic and their software, can you do that with OBS? Can you do picture-in-picture and
yes,
like overlays and all that kind of stuff?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll just go back to, perhaps I'll go back to the screen here. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to cut over to here. Yeah, so basically, we're back into OBS. I'm going to try to see if I've got any, so in sources here, you click the plus to add a different source. You click image. And I don't know if I have any lower thirds, but let me just see here. Sure, this is a very default thing, or from a template. So you can see this probably here. This is just a PNG file with transparency. So I'm going to click OK, and then I'm just going to take a second here to explain how in OBS there's a studio mode and a normal mode. Studio mode will show 2 screens, and I'm going to click that now. So the studio mode on the left, it's what's called preview. On the right, it's program. So program is what you're seeing live. What's being streamed out. Preview is what you're setting up now. Oh, okay. So I was wondering why we couldn't actually see the lower third that I added, but I'm not sure. You probably can't see it, but there's a very thin red line over here and down here. It goes out past the edges of the video. So if I drag this up, it's probably a very large image actually. So you can probably see it being dragged across my face here. I'm just going to quickly try to resize this, and I'll just be able to show you a little bit more about this. So yeah, basically I'm just taking a PNG file. I've dragged it in. It's currently far too large, and you'll sometimes find this in OBS. There we can start seeing it at the very bottom of the screen. So it's got Steve Mason. And if you've designed it, presumably you'll want it to go the full size of the screen. You can see this is only in the left side. And that's because this is a much better way of having the video display. You've got preview on one side, program on the other side, and you can set up all your stuff here. And then if you hit transition, it'll bring in the title. That looks really slick. And then what you can do to remove that is you uncheck the visibility. So it's very difficult to see, but it's a little eyeball with a stroke through it. And then you can click transition to remove that. It's a little bit of extra work, but it can definitely make things look really, really slick. Did that answer enough of your question?
That answered my question completely. Thank you.
Perfect. Great.
What files can you bring in other than PNG? Is it just PNG?
I don't know exactly. I definitely JPEG. GIF, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to. I thought I saw something that said you could bring in a PDF, which is weird. I'm just going to cut back over to here so you can see the different types of sources that you can add to a scene are audio input capture, audio output capture. So that's if your computer's playing sound, you can add that into your OBS feed. Which is good, but if you also if you ever get messages, if it dings, that might not be good. If you have other sounds, extraneous sounds that you don't want to have played, that's not ideal. Blackmagic device, I believe that comes built in with OBS. Either that, or it knows that I've got a Blackmagic device or have had a Blackmagic device attached to it. Browser is, I believe it's an internet browser. I haven't used that. Color source. Again, I've used OBS for the things that I need, but I haven't dug deeper into it. Display capture is the actual screen, so we can add one of those if we need. Game capture, I don't do gaming, so I'm not really sure. Maybe some other people have more information on that. But an image is the image. Image slideshow is exactly as it sounds. Media source would be your video that you'd have playing. And then presumably you can embed another scene in here, which is cool. So you can add text as well. And then a video capture device is what you're actually seeing here. It's my video. And then window capture allows you to capture a window, just like in Zoom. In Zoom, when you share a screen, you can either share the entire window or the contents of another screen. Thanks, Paul. Take care. Okay, I see a great question here. Hardware requirements for, this is a great one. So the question is, what are the hardware requirements for OBS? So the computer that I've been demonstrating on is a 2015 MacBook Pro. So it's now 6 years old. I was streaming on, I guess it was the Friday of the Winnipeg Cranky Festival, and I always test everything before I go live. That is an absolute must. If you just set up and press go, you're gonna have problems. So I was doing my final check half an hour before, and I saw a little number that kind of worried me, and I'm gonna switch back over. So the lower right, it says CPU 1.9%, which is great. I've never actually seen it this low before, but it's probably just because it's, the hardware built in is showing my image, and it's not playing back anything. But it does say 30 frames a second, but a moment ago it said 29.03 frames a second. And I had it going down to 24 frames a second, 25, 24, 28. It was just wildly inconsistent. So it's now 29.03. But I found the way to solve that problem was go back out of studio mode into non-studio mode, just the standard mode, which basically will take the video and anything that you see on this screen, it's going to stream live. So let's add that lower third. It's not going. It'll appear exactly as it did, and then take it out, But if I'm doing this, and I found this, one of my friends, it was probably last summer when I was allowed to be in their physical space. It was their first. Again, it was a church thing, right? So I was helping a buddy with his church service, and for the first time, I was using like a fresh install of OBS. They had connectivity issues, and so what I was doing was I was typing, yes, with two fingers, of course. I was typing the title on the screen, and people would, and I didn't realize that it was streaming this exact video out. And I wrote technical difficult, backspace, 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 technical difficulties, and the whole, it was kind of funny because well, I mean, to the people watching, because they saw me typing technical difficulties, backspace, 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 and so on, because it was not on the program preview screens. So the key difference here is that if you're on program preview and you're playing back a video, at least based on my experience, a 2015 laptop does just fine with that. Program preview not so well, but if you can go just the studio mode off, you should be good to go. I did the typical troubleshooting thing that I've done with lots of other things before, where if you've got a problem, eliminate things that could be part of the problem. So I started quitting applications. I quit everything but OBS, and it was still dropping frames. So I thought, okay, well, restart and start up OBS, and that solved. Sorry, that didn't solve that. So I thought, well, wait, maybe my computer's just too old to run video. Maybe I'll just turn off, and I just thought, maybe I'll just turn off studio mode, and that actually solved that. So there's that. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a question, because lower thirds are something I've been wanting to do, and I asked about it before. And I wonder, like, when you're doing live streams, can you do like live lower thirds dynamically on the spot as you go? Is there like a plugin for that, or do you have to have prepared them all in like separate JPEGs and have them lined up ready to go, and then turn
Great
one
question.
off, one on?
So one thing that's possible to do is you can use filters on here. I'm not going to get too much into this, but you can use filters to change to affect how the layers interact with one another. So in this case, you had the lower third that I was showing and hiding, then you got the video and the audio. So the lower third is listed above the video, so that'll appear on top of the video. The audio, it doesn't really actually matter where it's listed because it's just it's a separate channel. But if you were to have something like that, let's say you're to do a window capture using one of your pieces of hardware. So a video input source, I guess, using one of your pieces of hardware. What you could actually do, because it's the separate piece of hardware coming in, if you used a filter that did what's called a luma key. So it's gonna if you knock out some of everything on the video image that's black, it will just the darker it is, it will let something through. So if you make the text white, and maybe you have a background that's gray, and then the rest of the screen is black, you could then have quite an effective key that goes over it. Then what you could do is, presumably at least, if you had this, if let's say you've got a PowerPoint presentation running on one of the computers that's feeding it, then you type in, if you basically type in your new title. So that's changing it on the fly. That's the best case that I've seen. I was streaming on the weekend for Chamberfest in Ottawa. It's a big chamber music festival, and they were just doing a chamber concert, and they had a Keynote. It was a Macintosh computer, an Apple computer, so they had Keynote there, which is the Apple version of PowerPoint. But you could just type in on the fly and run with it. So that seems pretty slick to me.
I tried to use an iPhone camera in replace, and the latency, was too big a problem. So, like, I also have a GoPro. If I went HDMI to USB through one of those game capture keys,
so
would it take care of that?
I think probably it would. I've got a couple of different GoPros. One has HDMI out, the other doesn't. The problem I've had with some of my GoPros are actually the on-screen titles. But taking a step back and actually answering your question, sorry about that, is essentially if you've got a wireless connection, it's gonna there will be a lot of time, but from when the video is sent to when the video is received. Even if it's a fraction of a second, it's still longer than we need for most things. The way I like to explain it is whatever hardware you're using has to take this digital signal, turn it into a wireless signal, and send it over here, and then something else has to.
The phone was hooked up through a wire, so it was lightning to the USB, and it was still like it was unusable.
I stand corrected.
As far as the latency. So I was wondering if HDMI through a game capture key would be significantly different than that.
I would assume so, because I mean on a like a GoPro or something like that, the HDMI out should in theory be, you know, it's built to put HDMI out over a line. The problem is, and so I've got I've got a 4 camera setup for recording whatever I need to record, and the reason I have 4, the reason I have 4 because I need 4, but I bought 4 Canon cameras because I thought if I have the same manufacturer of camera, there's going to be there's a decent chance that it will be about the same delay. You're always going to have a delay in how it feeds the video. So that's how I've tried to get over that. When you're talking a delay, you're talking compared to audio, right? Or is it compared to another camera?
Well, just compared to anything, like as in I would move the camera and then watch the screen, and it would happen, you know, visibly, noticeably after. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So typically that will happen. If we were to turn on, so audio and video get through at a different time, and then videos, like it does take a lot of time for the video to be processed on one end and then the other. So I think there's no way right now to solve the video lag. It's just reducing that lag as much as possible is the secret. If you're trying to hear yourself through your computer, that's a huge challenge. Like if you turn on the audio in StreamYard or something like that, you're always going to get just a slight delay, even though it's the hardware. It's playing back your audio through the computer, and it's all connected via wires. There's not a great way to do that. Although in OBS, I'll just switch back over here. Under the audio settings, you click on the little gear, the cog, go to advanced audio settings. And then what you can actually do here is you can set your sync offset. So basically it's in milliseconds. So if you want 1 second of audio delay, because audio is always processed more quickly than video, because there's less data and less information to process. You can set your sync offset to, let's say, 1,000 milliseconds. I had just over half second set before in one of the other clients' locations. And the whole idea is that you want to, the way I test this is I'll not start streaming. I'll hit start recording. I'll clap, and then I figure out by opening up the video file. I actually did it without being able to view frame by frame once, and that was not ideal. But basically, if you record the video, and then see how much you're off, okay, I can hear the clap happens before the hands actually meet. Then I can set that. I can go back here, advanced audio properties. I can set this offset. So I'm bumping it back, maybe bump it up another 100 milliseconds. So I enter 600, for example, and then I clap it again. Record, clap again, stop recording, open the video, and see. Okay, that's perfect. So typically that's how I sync audio and video. And Kimmer, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but that's the best I got right now.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool. Sherry, how are you streaming?
Sorry. So slow on the uptake here. Mostly Zoom. We did a production, but we did have a company do all pre-recorded production. And again, challenged with video quality. You know, it was a whole new learning experience. We haven't quite ventured into live streaming, but we are looking at a few more events and things coming on. So I'm trying to gather as much information about how to do some live streaming. And again, working with the pipe bands and the dancers and, you know, some of the performances that we've been pulling together. So nobody's been 100% happy with live streaming. So yeah, what we've done up to now, pre-package, you know, smooth out the edges as much as possible. But I do want to get into a bit more live streaming, and again, it's like you say, it's more interactive, and if we can move in that direction, and then maybe get to hybrid models. We're also looking at, we had such reach with the productions that we've done. You know, how do we maintain that and then still get your in-person experience as much as we can, hopefully this summer, as we go into a few things.
That's a great question. I've been thinking of doing things. So if we've got a video that plays, so because I've got this screen over here, I'm just gonna open up the file I had here before. So I'm going to go full screen. So I'm going to just take you quickly over to this other screen. So this is how, and you know, normally you could have the video playing there, but if this is your video production, and I'm just going to turn on original sound. Actually, just give me a second here. I'm going to set something up here. Just going to lower the audio so it's not completely ridiculous.
Our plan C.
So I'm going to turn off my audio in just a second here, and you should hear that this is pretty okay. And then I'm going to turn on original sound, which is something that often when people are presenting video, they forget. So you probably can hear that, you know, dynamic range is increased and whatnot. So I've turned off the audio for that. But the whole idea is in Zoom, you can actually still present video. Like Glenn has rolled video into a Zoom presentation. And Beth, when you asked before, is it possible to have live and pre-recorded segments in Zoom? The answer is definitely yes. But again, it's the question is, why do you want to do that? And it's more a philosophical thing. You know, if you want the highest quality, then you know, and that's what you're going for. Zoom actually isn't that. Zoom is not a high quality streaming environment. It is a way to connect with people. Is how I use it and how I like to see it. Like I've done concerts via Zoom, and are there higher quality ways of producing concerts? Yes, you can pay a music like a producer to produce an entire like flawless audio example of that. But sometimes it falls flat because people. I've some of the performers that I've talked with, they said, well, you know, it's fine, but I like to play for people. I like to you know, if I'm playing, who knows if it's actually live, you know, and so if you're able to do a Zoom presentation, that could bridge that gap. But yeah, but I do want to make sure to say that the quality of Zoom is as high as we can make it, but it's not as high as we can make video quality and audio quality, especially. If you're recording, here's a tip, actually a very important tip. If you're recording a Zoom call, whether it's a concert or what have you, it's I'm trying to think. Don't record to the cloud is basically my takeaway from it, because I've recorded a number of concerts, and if you record to the cloud, there's lots of free storage, and that's great, but it saves 360 by 240 video. So it's, you know, the resolution's like this. If you record to your computer, you double the resolution in either direction, so it's 4 times the number of pixels, which is very helpful if you're saving it for archival quality. But it's still not full 1080 high definition, so it's not ideal. And the way I like to look at Zoom concerts, especially concerts, but events as well, is that if you're there, you see the live show, and it is a live show. It's that's how I like to see it. But once it's finished, either you couldn't see it. That's what for organizations I think really builds that ability to sell it, really, to say, okay, it's a live show. Come out and see the live show. Oh, what, can I see it tomorrow? No, it's a live show, and that, to me, that's the benefit. A selling feature, really. Not being able to see it again is a way to sell tickets, because Sherry, you mentioned your events. I'm not sure if you had seen, or had heard from people who said, oh, I meant to see it, but to this day haven't. It's
Yeah.
that sort of stuff happens. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And we pushed them out free of charge this year. Just again, there's a lot of that. You just have to do that just to keep your audience engaged.
For sure.
But it's what are the next steps, and how can we do this better? And yes, we would like to charge at some point. We've got to get paid for this somewhere along the way. But you're right. It's the live experience that people are looking for, and that's where you're going to pay your money for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
And Ryan, I want to know how are you doing streaming? If you don't mind my picking on you. Ryan Glenn, yes.
Right now, anything that I've done has been through Twitch or Facebook.
Cool.
I've done a little bit of YouTube too. I mostly use OBS.
Okay, cool. And what's the sort of content that you're streaming?
Music, and sometimes I've got a couple friends who like to stream video games, so sometimes I'll help them set their stuff up.
Sweet. Okay. And so I haven't used Twitch before, so that's so you're at, I'm out of my depth there. But do you ever use a way of streaming to different platforms at the same time?
I'm yet to do that. I would like to do that, but yeah.
Cool. Well, how about I'll show you a little bit of anyone heard of Restream before? Cool. So Restream is a service where you feed in one video signal and it can go out to multiple different sources. So I'm going to share my screen again here. We'll go over to desktop 2. Actually, there we go. So this is the Restream Dashboard. And so basically, I'm going to see, I think I might actually have this all set up already. So you're going to have to see my face again. So I've clicked, actually, let's do this in a slightly more multi-dimensional way. So you'll see on my video here, so you can see this here. This is what you're about to see on Restream. I'm going to click Start Streaming over here in the lower right-hand corner. And then it'll ask me, are you sure you want to start the stream? And the answer is yes. I believe I had it set up to go to Restream. And if I did successfully, or if I did actually, it should appear here momentarily. Just going to quickly check my settings. I went to Facebook Live, so I'm streaming through to a Facebook thing from yesterday. Okay, so just give me a second here. I'm just going to stop my screen sharing, because one really important thing about live streaming and stuff is the streaming key. So if I have the stream key, that will actually let you into it'll let anyone here stream through to my my Restream account, and I don't really want that because I need to use it sometimes. So the streaming key is really critical to keep secure. I'm just gonna log in here quickly. It's back to me, just so I can keep some semblance of security here. Just gonna copy this and paste it into the stream area. Restream. So Restream in OBS is one of the predefined presets, really. So I'm just gonna click done here. Start sharing the screen again. There we go. So I guess you guys can all see my my screen. Great. So what I'll do is I'll click Start Streaming down here. Click Yes. And then it's going to start streaming. Now you can see on one screen, this here is one computer. Over here on the Restream page, you can actually see the other computer, and you can see that this video window popped up. So I'm just going to. Sometimes Restream doesn't play back the video all the time. I'm just going to hit the play button down here. Now, I don't see it playing into here, which is probably just I need to reload it. The red dot means that you're live. So this is in my browser. It's a little way of if I'm not on if I'm not on the tab, I know Restream. That's important stuff. So I'm just gonna go in here and reload the page. Skylar, this might be the tech issue here. I'm not sure why.
Are we 2 for 1 tonight? Oh my goodness.
I'm not sure. Well, so the thing is, it is actually definitely streaming, because I'm just going to hit stop streaming here, and so on my screen I'm hitting stop stream. So on the other, it disappeared. So we're definitely 100% streaming some content. But so I'm just going to hit start streaming again. Maybe it'll show up. Maybe it won't. Who knows? So we've started streaming, and it's just appeared here. So we are streaming content out. Anyway, it's this is the first time I've ever had this not. There we go. Yay! Ooh, that's a terrible still shot of me. Oh wow. Okay. Well, great. So anyway, so I've set up presets for the different streaming services, so I can stream it out to YouTube and my Facebook, my custom Facebook thing. So I'm just gonna get off that screen for a second there. Sorry, everyone had to see that, and I still do. So that's my problem, not yours. So basically, in Restream, the free version will stream out to one YouTube channel, one Facebook personal profile, and you can switch. You can. I'm just checking it here. Yeah. So Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Periscope by Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on. There's a whole screen of them. I'll just actually reshare that. So you can see all the different services that you can use. When you pay more money, so I think it's $20 a month that I pay, I get one custom RTMP. Remember, that's the acronym I told you earlier. So that's when you stream out to an RTMP URL or an RTMP service. Basically, you can stream out to a custom service like that. So in that case, they make you pay a little bit more, well, $20 a month, to stream to a Facebook page, or just something along those lines. It's more of a custom thing, but you can stream just about anywhere with that. So, yeah. So that's Ryan. That's basically how you'd stream out to two services at the same time. It is a paid, potentially at least a paid thing, unless you're on Facebook. You can stream to your or somebody else's personal profile and any YouTube or Twitch link. That's cool. I didn't know that existed. Sweet. Yeah, it's really helpful. Actually, I mentioned at the beginning of this the seminar the Canadian Folk Music Awards. I actually last year had created that, like I said, a 30-minute video, and I was streaming from one computer on so one laptop, and I actually at that point I've got two computers. So I was streaming out through one laptop and going live to YouTube, and then on another one I had actually edited a separate intro so that it would go out to Facebook. So it was it was interesting. Luckily, it was a good night. It was a low night in terms of internet usage. So all the data got where it had to go, because we've probably all figured out that you need some bandwidth to get data out there. Has everyone heard of streaming? Speedtest.net and fast.com? Anyone who show of hands who hasn't? I'll just quickly show. Great. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen again, and I'm going to type in fast.com. So fast.com tells you how fast your upload and download speeds will be. I live in Ottawa, and I pay for the fastest that Rogers can give me, not for the download speeds, but because the upload speeds are critical. So your internet speed is 1.0 gigabits per second, which is just great. Then I'm going to click Show More Info, and that's saying that your latency is down here. But the most important thing for me is the upload speed, because if you have 10 megabits per second or above, that's typically decent for streaming. one of my clients has I think they have 4.5, but they only had 0.5 before, and that was not sufficient. So I've got 17 megabits per second up. One really big and important thing is that we are currently on a Zoom call, so I have no doubt more than 17 megabits per second upload speed, but part of it is being eaten up by the Zoom call because it's sending video. So I'm going to send another website. Actually, I'm just going to quickly go to copy that, speedtest.net. I'm just going to go there. Great. And Beth, I just saw your comment, so I apologize. And is Beth still here? I can't see the full list of people, but okay, great. I saw your I saw your question, and I do have some experience, maybe not the best, but I will talk to that in a moment. So I'm just going to click go here. The same exact situation. It's gonna send receive from a service a bunch of information, and then it's gonna send a bunch of information back to that service. And then the numbers that come from it are going to be probably fairly close to what they were before for me. So before it was 1 gigabyte per second. Gigabit per second rather. So 929 is pretty close to 1,000. So that's good. And who knows what the numbers are at any given moment. I'm actually getting a higher throughput rate going back up. Sorry?
You're just killing me with these speeds. I just measured mine. I'm topping out at 1.74 megabits per second download, and I've got a whopping 1 megabits per second upload.
That's a pretty good ratio.
1.74. I don't do a lot of live streaming from my house, obviously.
That's fair. Now, I would say that you are currently, Beth, receiving video from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people.
Yeah. True.
So that's gonna be eating up some of your download speed. So maybe you've got 5. I'm not sure, but after we get off the call, it would be neat to test. So I'm just gonna copy and paste the speedtest.net information in here, so you can grab this. Don't forget to copy any links from the chat that you want to before the Zoom meeting ends, because Zoom meetings, when they end, nothing existed unless somebody saved it.
We'll be saving the chat with the recording as well, though. So
thank you so much, Skylar.
Graham,
yes.
All this talk about speed, it obviously takes me back to the first time we worked together, which was in this rural area of Quebec with pretty bad download and upload speeds. It's really, and talking about hybrid shows and everything, I think that's one of the advantages is those with a better connection can play live. Those who can't, you can pre-record something and play it. But can you talk about other experience you may have had working with people? A lot of musicians live in rural communities. I'm thinking of like Wakefield, and that side of the of the river. And up as soon as you get past Wakefield, the internet is just terrible. And I don't know. Have you sort of worked around that?
So a friend of mine actually passed Wakefield. So basically Wakefield's about a half hour away from Ottawa and like the Ottawa Hull or Ottawa Gatineau area. So you're really getting out into places that aren't accessible. This person actually lives out fairly far out, but somehow he got really like at least decent internet. So in his case, I'd say, and that wasn't available to him before. So the telecom companies are actually making some strides to better internet service in remote communities. I actually heard from a friend of mine who is considering Starlink, which is the new Elon Musk thing, which I think it's a fairly high buy-in at $800 for the hardware, and then it's $150 a month for the service. Now, as I was saying to Skylar earlier on the call, I would love to have a lot of money. This is actually a lie. I don't really need to have that much money to make tons and tons, but that's clearly what they're doing. But that said, I heard it's 50 megabits per second down and 10 up is what I heard. And that would be great. And, if you've got line of sight to, I thought it's satellite, right? Is it satellite? Yeah.
I believe it is. And actually, my partner's brother got it. They live out in outside of Owen Sound, Ontario. And right now it's not actually working that well for them anyways, but I think it'll be within a couple iterations, it'll be quite good.
Yeah. I think like any new technology. Pardon me. I heard on the radio today that they were complaining. People were complaining about the province of Ontario's rollout of the COVID vaccines. It's a website, it's a phone system. It's there were 8,000 people in the first 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it was. It's we're talking huge numbers here, and numbers of and the people they really care about, obviously, COVID vaccines. It's literal life and death, but internet technology, it's a way for us to survive, people who are using technology. So to answer your question, I guess a little bit more, this one person, before he had high-speed internet, he used to go into, I guess, a maker space in Wakefield itself. So going into a space to be able to have higher upload and download speeds, that's one way of doing it. Another way is to have a cell phone hotspot. It's not ideal because we're talking about video, and that's you're gonna run into quite a lot of bandwidth use. But I do know with my phone, I have a setting on there where I get 1 hour of unlimited data use. So take advantage of that if you can. Yeah. I did want to, Beth did ask a question about syncspace.live. That's a new service that's based out of Ottawa. It's a company, I guess, that's based out of Ottawa. It's a distributed service. What they do is they basically provide a way, actually, just maybe a show of hands here. Who's used something like Jamulus, Jamkazam, or what's the other one? It's the Berkeley one. Anyway, the other one. I'll think of it 3 minutes after we stop the call. So basically, it's a way of streamlining the audio. So the audio takes priority, and in Jamkazam and Jamulus, they have zero video capabilities. So basically, it's getting audio from one place to another as quickly as you can. So you need a fast computer. You need to be on a fast internet connection, and really importantly, just turn off all your applications and just have that one thing running, and then you might have a reasonable chance of connecting with somebody else. If you're within a 500 mile radius, you can actually have the audio, the internet signal go from one person to the other person and then back, and not have if you're I think the number is 40 milliseconds or below, you can play up to a certain speed, 100 or so, 110 beats per minute. So that's pretty good. But I tried it with a person who lives, and Beth, it's Arthur McGregor. So he lives about a half hour away. Because of where I'm with Rogers and he's with Shaw. Yeah, he's very, very near where Beth lives. He's got... Yeah. Sorry, Beth?
I said, yeah, he's very close to me.
Exactly.
So he's even you and I can't even speak.
Yeah, and so what happens though is so his signal, and you can never use Wi-Fi with these because it's it basically you can't use Wi-Fi. You need to use a plugged-in cable because it's that same. Your piece of hardware is converting things to a wave, and then this one's decompressing it and turning it back into a signal, rather than just a literal bit of information going from here to here, and just super fast. It's like fiber optics. You turn on a light here, it travels at the speed of light. Obviously, the photons. Anyway, yeah. So light goes from one place to another, and that's as fast as it can be. But as soon as you have to turn that, or even if it's just your standard Ethernet cable with an electrical signal going through it, as soon as you have to turn that into a wave, there's processing involved, and that slows things down. And so that happens, not turning it into a wave, but turning the signal into something else. When you hit one server, it adds, who knows, a millisecond, and it routes it over here, and it sends it over there, and over there, and over there. So your signal might end up doing this before it gets to the person that you're trying to play with. In my case, we're like this, but I don't know where Shaw is based, like Shaw Internet, but I know mine is Rogers, and that's in Toronto. So my information goes to Toronto before it goes back to him. So somewhere in there that we tried. It just didn't work for us. And Beth, you were asking about syncspace.live. They basically have a server that's in Ottawa, and I think 3 in Toronto, some in Vancouver, one's coming to Winnipeg soon, and so on. So you really get a closer, jumping point. So from one to another and then back. The theory is that it should be great. I haven't had any success with it yet. But don't let that scare anyone off. I love testing stuff. I love, trying to figure out, like Glenn and I at the very beginning of the pandemic, we were bouncing ideas off each other, sometimes daily, often every week. And it was just, I think the benefit to working in, and I said earlier, this is like the Wild West. The benefit to working like this is that we have to work together, or we don't. And there are lots of people who don't and who can either make a living, doing something that's either proprietary or that they've figured out how to do and they've got a closed network, and that's fine. But the way I'd like to work is just the more people I work with and the more they know, the more I could know. And I'm happy to share all my knowledge with people because it's far easier to sit down and talk through something than to sit and bang your head against the wall trying to figure out, how do I solve this problem? How do you solve the problem? You call Glenn. Yeah.
Always call Graham.
Oh shoot. He has no clue. So Glenn asked a really important question to me personally before this, and that was how when you're on Facebook, and I think this is applicable to anyone who streams on any service. And I actually, Ryan, I don't know about Twitch, but like I don't know if there's a chat function, or I literally don't know. There is. Cool. Okay, so it probably works for that too. So there are spammers that are out there, and they will try to get passwords and credit card numbers and anything they can to try to exploit your viewers, and that it sucks. So what and Glenn was asking, do you have any tips on that? So I have, through the various groups that I work with, and actually there was a festival I did about a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago, where I said, okay, you are going to get spammers. I guarantee you. They will find some way to get in, whether they post on, like they post on the video, they post in the event, they post on the, on the post that's promoting the event that's not attached to either of those, but they make it look somewhat legitimate, but not actually. Usually it's not, it's never a John Smith kind of name. It's not, it's never in good English, which is, proper English is actually the best English there. Sorry. Apologies. Yeah. It's always, it's always click here to donate, or click here to watch the show, or they try to capture it and embed it somewhere else. So it's really critical, or has been, I would say it is really critical to keep people on your stream so that they're not confused about anything. Some folk festivals and other organizations had said, well, why don't we just post one donation link per performer as they go on? And I said, whoa, you're going to confuse people. They're going to say, oh, sure, I'll be able to click on this. And then as soon as one of these spammers comes in, then you're diverting funds away from somebody else, or diverting attention, I should say, away from the one donation link. Because, you're saying, oh, and donate to Glenn here, and 5 minutes later, donate to Kimmer here, and click here to view the video, and oh, I guess I should do that, and then that takes somebody away and possibly results in credit card fraud. Typically, what happens is they ask for the credit card, the person punches in the number, and often it doesn't go through. So the scammer will say, just re-enter it. So yeah, the way to solve that is Facebook has changed their settings. It used to be report, so you can report it as spam. Then you can hide the comment, and then delete. But I think there's no hide.
You can ban
there's no
from
hide.
stream now too. Actually, I did
Yes.
that the other night, which was handy. The thing I found interesting about the phenomena is it's like a flurry in like the first 15 minutes of your stream. Like basically luckily it was a pre-recorded video, but I couldn't do anything else. I was just deleting constantly. Like there was probably about 10 different accounts all from Asia, and just like, yeah, one after the other. And I don't know if it was a bot or if it's an actual click farm or something, but
yeah. Glenn, I'm gonna show the screen over here for anyone who doesn't have this on speaker view. This may have the gallery of everyone up here. You may want to click over to speaker view, because I'll just show you quickly here a few of the settings that I use to prevent that sort of spam. So actually, that's interesting. Huh. Okay, well, I'm going to say schedule a live video instead. Huh. Okay. Well, this is interesting. I don't know how, but I can't figure out how. There's a comments section of this. Sorry, just give me a second here. I'm going to quickly post on a page I manage. Just going to post it to, yeah, my cat's page. Sure. Sorry, go live now. Page, and then I'm just going to publish as a test broadcast. This is a very important thing. If you don't want to go live and make a fool of yourself, you can. I'm not saying everyone would. I know. I'm just speaking for myself here. You can click publish as test broadcast. It's at the very bottom of the Facebook producer. I'm just going to enter test as the title, and then we'll just use the camera for now. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so in comments here, you can see, I'm going to see if I can blow the text up here. There we go. Follower. So comments, basically, it says if you say follower, it'll only allow people who follow you to leave comments. Slow means you can't post comments more quickly than every 10 seconds. I don't like the discussion one, because if anyone says, wow, that's nice, the discussion one says that you have to post more than 100 characters at a time. Restricted, I like this one a lot, because it says if you don't have an account that's if your account is less than 2 weeks old, you're not allowed to post on this page. It's unfortunate for some, but it's a spam prevention measure. And then protected, people must have followed you for 15 minutes or more to be able to post. So that's one of those. Oh, Glenn, click like. So now I can quickly comment on that. Those are different spam prevention measures that I really like. I support those. Those are the Facebook ones. There are other ways to do it on other platforms, and I'm not as well versed. So I will, completely admitting that. But I encourage you to look at that up, because if you're on Twitch or YouTube or anything else, there are definitely ways to get the best out of the experience for everybody. Yeah. So I am looking at the clock. I'm cool to stay on, but I'm not sure about Skylar. But does anyone have any maybe not last questions, but any questions? Sweet.
If people have more questions after this, because we're going to be sharing the recording and whatnot, are you comfortable sharing your email or anything like that?
Definitely, yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, guys. This has been a really great night of. I was talking a whole lot, so I don't want to sound like it was too good, but I really appreciate the intelligent questions and just the back and forth, the ability to get information from people, and yeah, if you do want to reach out, I'd be the sharing thing is really important. And Leith, I'm sorry we didn't get to you to ask what you did.
I am just here as an interested audience member. I'm taking all of this in. I'm not actually doing any streaming. I tend to be watching mostly on Facebook or YouTube if anybody's interested in where people are watching. But I have just been blown away by the amount of new skills that people have had to learn in order to keep sharing what they do with people who want to listen to what they do, right? And I shared in the first session that I live in Sault Ste. Marie, which is really far away from anywhere, especially during a pandemic and during the winter, right? So for me, the fact that so much is happening online has really opened accessibility up, and I hope that some of that continues even as we can start doing live things again. Like it's just been such a game changer. I would never have been able to attend this workshop series in person, right? Because I just live too far away. And I love that that's happening, but I'm also trying to educate myself about how much is going into that for the people who are doing it.
Great. Well, thanks for that, and also thanks for pointing out accessibility. There's one big folk festival that happened last year. There were many that happened last year. Not as many as normal, but the Philadelphia Folk Festival was their 59th year, and they did it completely virtually. It was a custom streaming custom entire platform, end-to-end platform for them. It was really, really well done. And one of the comments from a person who is living with a disability. She's in Ottawa. She wouldn't have been able to go to the festival anyway. But her comment was, this opens up such an amazing world for us, for people I hang with online and, in person. And this is what we need. This is what and just Leith, exactly as you said, this is what we need to engage. And really importantly, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said that they had, I think it was in if anyone doesn't know the acronym NERFA, Northeast Regional Folk Alliance, it's an organization in the Northeast of the United States, but it's got sort of my area, Eastern Ontario, in its sort of catchment. They were saying that the audiences that are going to shows now are not the same audiences that went in person when they existed, which to me, organizationally, is massive. Because if you had this audience before, and even if your online audience is small, so let's take a folk festival, 1,000 people go to your folk festival. And if you got 50 people over here, congratulations, you've got 50 more paid tickets. Is that going to, that's a significant portion of the, of the income of the festival, or could be. Does that 50, person crowd mean that you could fund a live stream next year? Maybe. Increased accessibility, possibly there are, and I this may not be applicable to everyone, but perhaps there's a government grant for it, to make sure that you're still serving that same audience. And I'm not saying that the 50 in my hypothetical situation are people with disabilities. It could be somebody who's living in the Sault Ste. Marie, in the Sioux, sorry, and or anywhere. It could be somebody in Europe who, I really miss being in Canada, and that sort of thing is just. To me, it's just mind-blowing how people said, we're not getting a lot of the same people we were getting before, but we're getting different people. No one should let me talk to her for an hour and a half.
No, this has been really awesome. Thank you again for being a part of this and sharing your wealth of knowledge on the subject.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, thanks, everybody. I'll see you online, I suspect.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
All right. You too, Skylar. Thanks so much for moderating as well.
Yeah, thank you.